with a new bow tie, I should say. And that is because I had a birthday yesterday and got a passel of new ones, including the sparkler today, a black tie with white polka dots. And this is David Tulis doing his show better every day with this new magazine, a new supply of bow ties that hold his head up and hide a violently bobbing Adam's apple, which is what happens when every man talks, okay? It's nothing unusual for me as for you, my listener. And we're thinking about Chattanooga. We're thinking about Lookout Mountain, Georgia, which are planning to become something like the old coal company town in Dunlap. Dunlap has a museum called the Coke Ovens that's in Sequatchie County in the great, beautiful Sequatchie Valley. And there, in times past, in the 20s and 30s, there was coal mined, and it was, in many respects, a company town. There was a company store, a commissary, and it was built in the original one was built in 1902 by the Chattanooga Iron and Coal Company, but then it bankrupted. And there's been efforts to maintain that place. And the museum has behind glass a case showing the money, the artificial script, you might say the private script, the private banknotes and slugs or tokens that were used as a medium of exchange in that closed economy. We live in something like that today, a closed economy, and it enriches the owner, right? Whoever owns that economy from the outside is the owner. So in the company town, for example, in Dunlap, if you were a part of the mining family, if you will, the mining community, your life could be taken care of almost entirely on the site. You may have lived in a company house. You may have had your car or your wagon fixed in a company store, a company repair garage, and you could shop in the company store using company money. Part of your pay might have been in Federal Reserve money or coin, and some might have been paid in script or tokens that you used in the company store. And that is a closed economy. And in a closed economy, the people who gain are the owners of it, right? They own the whole thing. They own effectively the whole market. And we are in an economy like that today. We are in a kind of company store, a company economy, the company that we're referring to as the owner, of course, being the Federal Reserve System, with at its head a Obama appointee, Grandma Yellen, who is a cheerleader for the monetary expansion that we've enjoyed or suffered through for the past decade now, since the collapse of 2008. All for new money, new injections of credit in the economy to enrich the owner, right? To enrich the owner. Think if you own the town and own the store and the houses on which people live and own the jobs by which they make their livings, think of the benefit to yourself, how you can increase the number of tokens, right? Think about how that would work. You can increase the tokens. You can have non-competitive pricing of your goods. If a man has too many tokens and not enough dollars, he can always shop outside the store, outside the domain of the coal company, but he doesn't really have enough dollars to do that. So he stays in the economy and pays tokens where he's not quite sure what the token's worth, but he knows what it gets him, and he's satisfied that he's being taken care of, even though he could have been robbed, not robbed perhaps, but thieved from. He could have been deprived slowly, daily of his real buying power by the company. Now, Chattanooga and Lookout Mountain are thinking in the same direction. They're thinking of the company town project and thinking, well, we can do that too, as they have for a long time. But the matter of the coal company town idea is coming to the front again today as we consider the votes Tuesday in the City Council of Chattanooga, and also that of Lookout Mountain, Georgia, where there's going to be a restriction imposed upon the free market, where we're going to be told effectively, well, you can't do these things that you want to that are ordinarily free, and they're free up till now. But we are going to clamp down. We're going to restrict what you do and what you do with your own property. Your property, in fact, does not belong to you. It belongs to us. And so the votes coming before the city council of each town are a claim, you might say a legacy claim against private property. Again, that's an old form. That's an old form. The owner of the city, the tax authority, the commission, the council saying, this is ours. This city is ours. And your representatives are going to bring your property into submission and under regulation. And you can't do anything about it because we're your representatives and we're doing this for the greater good. And so you are going to be deprived of your rights. And in some cases, your businesses are going to be shut down. That's what the Chattanooga City Council is all about. Carol Burrs and even Darren Ledford, Chip Henderson, who pretends to be a free market defender, a businessman and a contractor. He's very comfortable with banning people from their livelihoods, especially if the livelihood is a great one. He's going to just shut you down. He is going to shut you down in Chattanooga if you're not in the right place on the map. He has a map. You can see a copy of that map at Nooganomics.com. That's Nooganomics.com, the website that covers economics. It's a very remarkable platform in that it is comprehensive in many areas. Doesn't have a lot of spot news on it, but it has, you might say, deep analysis of the way things as they really are. And that would be deep law, deep state, deep economy. And we go beyond the surface. The Chattanooga Times Free Press, bless his heart, has to cover the surface. That's what its job is. That's what people expect it to do as they become subscribers. But I'm not under that obligation as the editor of Nooganomics.com. And so I go into the deep side of things. And if you go there and if you subscribe, which I suggest that you do, you'll find how this dynamic, this conflict, if you will, between the free and the unfree, between the owner and the servant, between the master and the employee or the slave, how those dynamics are working today. They have to work today. They really are unavoidable because they're part of human nature, right? The master-slave relationship we'll always have until the last day. And slavery we have with us even now. I mean, we have official slavery under Tennessee constitutions and the federal constitutions. Slavery is permitted. We have state slavery, right? Private slavery has been forbidden, but state slavery has been allowed. Every black representative in the General Assembly, in the Senate, and in the House, every black representative on city council or county commission, they all accept slavery, right? No one objects to slavery per se. They're just upset when black slavery is mentioned, or when there's some hint, say in the fluttering banner of the battlefield, a hint of Southern chattel slavery prior to 1865. We have slavery today, so these relationships are part of human nature, and we cannot avoid them. We cannot avoid analyzing them and the fruit they bear in the economy. Now, what we're for here on the David Tulis program is liberty and prosperity, which means that slavery has to be reduced, right? We want to reduce slavery, the incidence of it, and we want to reduce the use of power of one man over another. And that really can't be done in any way and under any premise except through the offices, through the work of Christianity. That Christianity is the only system whereby liberty can be made more general, right? Generalization, the common, making common of liberty, political liberty, economic liberty, legal liberty. These come only in that system, and that is because that system is the starting point of equity. Equity being right relations among people, the remedying of wrongs among people, the settling of disputes among people, and the protection of people's property and persons. Those are under equity and under law. And all those systems of protection for you, my listener, are based in Christianity. And it has to be that way. And people who disagree and think, well, we can have human rights campaigns and human rights commissions and the like, these are, and modern states, these are all false gods. They're all actually instruments by which to deliver into the hands of one group another group, right? Those are the means of enslavement, the means of subjection of one group to another. And our analysis at Nooga Radio and at Nooganomics.com is to explain how this works. Okay, Chattanooga is going to violate constitutionally protected rights on Tuesday in the second reading of the short-term vacation rental ordinance by Chip Henderson, and the town council in Red Bank, Georgia, is going to be doing the exact same thing. If we're going to be prosperous in Chattanooga and in Hamilton County and in Lookout Mountain, Georgia, we have to remember that the use of force does not enhance prosperity long term, though it may enhance the prosperity of the municipal corporation for a short term by creating a new stream of revenue, a new tax income stream against the people for its own prosperity. So these moves to oppress, let's say, Airbnb, which is one of several platforms that are being used online to bring visitors here, right? That's what these systems, these server systems, they actually serve, right? The servers are used to serve, and they serve whom? Well, they serve two groups, namely homeowners in Lookout Mountain and in Chattanooga who want to have visitors in their houses, people who are coming from other places, obviously, and these people are here, and they will pay you to stay in your house. They really would love to rather stay in your house than go to a hotel, which is a corporate arrangement, not personal, not home oriented, but it has its own benefits to be in a hotel or a motel. But here we have local homeowners who want to have visitors who pay them to stay, and in an arrangement, whether on Airbnb or other platforms, where each side rates the other. Everyone wants to have 5 stars, and some people get it. Right? They're guests. They consistently get 5 stars, so they're more desirable as guests than those who have 2 stars or 1 star. So everyone, whether the provider or the visitor, has an interest to have a good rating and to be well received in the future, to do well, to be a visitor or a host in good order, looking out for the comfort and benefit of everyone around. Now, the language in the ordinance proposed in Lookout Mountain, Georgia, is full of humiliation. Okay, the language is highly debasing of people. The council should actually speak appreciatively of, or should I say, the language is debasing of people about whom the council should speak appreciatively. Don't want to end a sentence there in a preposition, right? Because those are always bad sentences. David Tulis here, working on sentence structure even as we speak, right here at AM 1240 and FM 92.7. We are Nooga Radio on YouTube, live at Hot News Talk Radio, and on Facebook. Thank you for joining me here with my polka dot tie on Facebook at Nooga Radio. The amendments, there's some language I want you to hear, where we have something that's innocent and good, which would be an arrangement, an online arrangement in the sharing economy, right? In the gig economy, and it's made to look dirty, and that's what happens when you have regulatory language. What it does, it alienates and subjectivates. You might say subjectivizes the thing to be regulated. In other words, it dehumanizes it and alienates it sufficiently so that it can be controlled as something potentially evil, potentially bad. The providers of homes in Lookout Mountain are, if you read the language of the ordinance, they look like they should be suspect, right? The language is suspicious of them. They are scurrilous and potentially evil, if not actually evil, if not actually culpable. They have to be put into a frame which makes them wicked. And and here's the definition: hosting platform, it says, means a marketplace in whatever form or format which facilitates the home sharing through advertising, matchmaking, or other means, using any medium of facilitation, and from which the operator of the hosting platform derives revenues, including booking fees or advertising revenue from providing or maintaining the marketplace. That's what a housing platform is. And notice it's described as a lawyer. Only a lawyer can take a description and make the thing look absolutely dead. And that's what's happening here in the Lookout Mountain, Georgia proposed ordinance. The story in Chattanooga.com of a couple days ago says that the ordinance will reaffirm that short-term vacation rentals are a not permitted use in the city's single-family district. And then the rules are so they are just humiliating, and that's what they're supposed to be, of course, right? You deserve to be humiliated because you are now going to be subject to our control or our ban. Chattanooga has in view a ban against all those would-be houses and homeowners that want to have visitors if you're outside the district. And if you're inside the district, you get a special favor. We now can license you and permit you. You have to come to us and beg permission and pay us a rent. You have to pay city government a rent. Chip Henderson is not a free market person at all. And neither is Darren Ledford. If Darren Ledford facilitates this movement, neither is he a real conservative. A conservative, I'm not a conservative because I don't want to conserve what we have. What we have is bad. What we have is broken, unfriendly to capital, unfriendly to entrepreneurship, unfriendly to the family. And I'm not a conservative as they are, because they want to keep the system as we have it, which is premised on zoning. What is zoning premised on? Well, zoning is premised on the ability to tax and the ability to alienate the owner of the land from the land and thereby to tax it. And also now in the new permutation of taxation to regulate it or to ban the private use, the free market use of one's property in an arbitrary and capricious manner. That's because it's arbitrary and capricious, it's unconstitutional, and it will have to be overthrown. It takes one person to say no to overthrow the whole system. Okay, one person who says no to City Council's ordinance if it passes on Tuesday, to say this system is not just ungodly, but it's unconstitutional, and it's unconstitutional because for two main reasons. Well, probably three, but two that I'll mention. Is that there are no due process rights, and number two, there is an arbitrary and capricious division among the people where two men or two families, one on one side of a street and another on another, have a line on the map going down between the two houses, right down on the dotted white line of the street. One man is banned to use his house as Airbnb, and the other man can do it if he gets a permit. So this is clearly arbitrary and capricious. This map is untenable legally. Chip Henderson needs to be told by you, my listener, that his map is untenable. It violates the constitutional right to own property, and it's arbitrary and capricious because one man has no remedy. He's simply banned. And the city council on Tuesday openly talked about putting people out of business. When does the city council do that? When does the city council of the gig city do that? Why does it do that? In Lookout Mountain, anyone operating a home share, which is what's going to be allowed now, you can't use Airbnb there in Lookout Mountain, Georgia, but you can home share. And in that situation, you have to stay there. You have to be there. Well, to do that, you have to have a city business license or a home sharing permit. And no person or entity may operate more than one home share in the city of Lookout Mountain. Owners will be responsible for payment of the hotel motel tax or a newly established transient occupancy tax, a new tax, okay, on the total amount paid for rental of a home share in the city. No exterior signage or special lighting is allowed. The home share guests may have a maximum of 2 vehicles. See, here we have the owner of a house in Lookout Mountain turned into a child. This is called the puerilization of grown men and women. Puerile simply means childish, right? And puerilization is the turning of a grown person into a child. That's what public schools do. Public schools puerilize the inmates, keeping them children for 5 years longer. A man goes into school at age 14, and he's kept a child for 5 years or 4 years until he graduates. And that's the extension of childhood. The child remains puerile until he graduates. Then he's a man. That's not really true. The home share guest in Lookout Mountain may have a maximum of 2 vehicles, and there must be adequate parking on the property, not to include the lawn. Notice how childish the city panel, the city fathers of Lookout Mountain, Georgia, are treating their their residents. These two measures are, I speak in the legal sense mostly of Chattanooga, since I know Tennessee law better than that in Georgia. But in Tennessee, these acts are simply unconstitutional and they're untenable. And I guess you know what we're going to have to do next. We're going to have to talk about the $50 fine rule in Chattanooga, which prohibits the city from punishing anybody. Cities are effectively toothless. They cannot create crimes. And there's a $50 limit on any fine or debt that they can demand to be paid from someone who has offended it by violating an ordinance. It's a $50 limit. It is a toothless ordinance, despite what the city council said at the meeting Tuesday. David Tulis.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
An 8-year-old boy is now in critical condition after having been shot while riding with 2 other people in a car. 28-year-old LeBron Brown was taken into custody and charged with many charges, including attempted first-degree murder and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. An SUV smashed through the front of a business on Dayton Boulevard. The Vintage and More store on Dayton Boulevard had the front corner plowed away. Eyewitnesses say that the driver of the SUV which crashed into it may have had a seizure, and authorities confirm a medical emergency is suspected to be the cause of the crash. In Dalton, a puppy was found inside a sealed cardboard box on the side of the road. Some kids found it and called 911. The fire department opened up the box and found a puppy inside. It's been taken to an animal shelter for care. It's in fine condition and was happy when they took it out. They're trying to find who's responsible for this animal cruelty. And a man accused of selling drugs at Bonnaroo says he was doing God's work. He's been arrested. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
After areas of morning fog, expect lots of sunshine and good-looking weather again for your Friday. Continued comfortable highs into the lower 80s. Tonight, fair, pleasant again, lows near 60. For your weekend, lots of sunshine. Continued dry for the next few days. Warmer, though, with highs mid and upper 80s. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette or online at jacksongm.com.